I want to now take you to Pragati Maidan, the Bharat Mandapam. Reporting from the media center there is our managing editor, Gaurav Sawant. Gaurav, you were there with the press conference. The biggest takeaway of that press conference, of course, there's a lot of chatter, a lot of intrigue when it comes down to the Delhi declaration. We heard Amitabh Kant, the G20 Sherpa, stating that by the end of the summit, there will be an important global South voice which will come out, which will echo the word of developing countries. But also, Gaurav, will there be consensus? That's a question that was asked over 10 times in that press conference.
And Amitabh Kant and the Foreign Secretary, they've both responded to it, saying that they've done their work so far. The Sherpas of G20, they've done their work. Now they've made those recommendations to their respective heads of state and government. The deliberations that will take place at the level of the respective heads of state and government, they'll hash out those issues, and then we shall know at the end whether there is a declaration. But India sounds extremely confident. Efforts are being made to narrow the gaps wherever they may exist. What was very remarkable is two aspects here. One, conversation on the Russia-Ukraine war. That conversation has taken place, and very extensive conversations have taken place, because from the Bali Declaration, remember, the conversation was, this is a platform which talks about growth and development and economy, but the conversation then went around to saying that this conflict is impacting that growth and development, especially the sustainable development goals, and that is when this conversation came in. The Sherpas have been able to talk about their respective ways to take this forward. Now it's for the heads of the states and government to take this forward. But do remember that one issue cannot hold everything to ransom. This is also about economic development of the global south, or developing countries, taking the African Union, for example, along and taking them forward. Now, does the West have a responsibility towards them? Do developed countries have a responsibility towards developing countries? Or will this just remain a talk shop club? And the outcome will indicate whether India, with all its efforts, Preeti, the fact that you've had meetings across 60 cities in India, the fact that this has been the most vibrant G20 in terms of the expanse, 60 cities, more than 200 meetings that have taken place, multiple new aspects joined in, every district of India, every state of India has been involved in it. What's the outcome? Will it just be held ransom by the Russia-Ukraine conflict, or will there be other aspects that will come out? It's for the heads of state and government, for them to deliberate and decide, and we shall know at the end of it, Preeti.
Gaurav, it's happened before. Where the Bali Declaration was concerned, there was divergent views. You had one member of the G20 that didn't quite agree. But on the other hand, the other big sticking point, Gaurav, is by the end of this summit, will it be G21 when it comes down to the African Union?
Well, then again, it is very important, because this is India's big push for the African Union to be brought in. Who would be opposed to it? Will other issues, with bilateral issues, will they dominate a multilateral platform? Amitabh Kant again responded to that point, saying that China is a player, and at a multilateral level, it has multilateral issues that it will deal with. So this discussion has taken place at multiple levels. Remember, at the level of finance ministers, there have been conversations, and there have been conversations that have taken place at the level of foreign ministers, development goals at the level of Sherpas. All these meetings have culminated in a document which will now be put to all the heads of state and governments, and then they will deliberate. And it is hoped, it is anticipated that there will be an outcome. Whatever niggles that may remain, will leaders be able to solve those niggles and those issues? India will make an effort, the United States will make an effort, other countries will make an effort, and it's again, like every country has a veto, but every country also has persuasive powers. That remains to be seen what ultimately emerges. But as far as India is concerned, India's entire effort has been to ensure that developing countries are heard, and that they have a voice on the global high table. So African Union, if that becomes a part of the G20, then that is a huge win for India's efforts.